and I am coming to you uh, live here on Google Hangouts. And I'm going to be doing a coaching session with Trenton Saniel, who should be joining in any second. Just sent him the link again. And this is his first time on Google Hangouts. I apologize for the video quality. I actually did purchase my Logitech camera, which arrived in about a half hour ago. I thought it was going to be here this morning, so I didn't really have time to install it. But I wanted to record this coaching session purposely on Google Plus to really get across how to create content for a startup and brand new brands. Because for a startup or brand to promote themselves, they're going to have to create branded content and distribute that, particularly content that's engaging, entertaining, educational, etc. And startups and new businesses, entrepreneurs lack either A, the know-how of how to create branded content, B, the finances to create high-quality branded content, or C, both. They don't have the know-how nor the finances to do this. And I believe that Google Hangouts is a great way for any startup or brand that maybe lacks in knowledge or lacks in finances to create the branded content that they really need. And why is that? Because a Google Hangout, as you can see, can be branded with my name and my website, and it allows me to create very easily and for no money video content that's going to be saved onto YouTube. Once that video is saved onto YouTube, I can further optimize that video for natural organic search, as well as taking that YouTube video and sharing it on social media, embedding it in my blog, sending it out on email. And I can even take this video and I can have it transcribed, and I can turn that transcription with a little bit of polish into a blog post. So Google Hangout opens the door for a lot of opportunities to create content. And excuse me, I think this is Trenton. He's going to be here any second. Again, this is his first time on Google Hangouts. Now, I don't claim to be a Google Hangout expert, but I am doing more and more of them, and I see the incredible potential and value that they possess for any brand or startup. Because, you know, most startups and brands have a laptop. Most brands can access Google Plus and Google Hangouts with very little initiation or training. Any brand or startup can start their own YouTube channel. And what's the cost of that? It's just, it costs you your time to learn and to be comfortable in implementing it. But once you overcome that, and it's pretty easy to learn, one of the things that I recommend to you is that if you go to YouTube and you type in their search bar, how to use Google Hangouts for business or how to use Google Hangouts for small business, you'll find in just a ton of people that are, they give, 10-minute, 20-minute educational videos on how to actually set up your Google Plus account, your Google Hangout account, how to do a Google Hangout, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is fairly easy to learn, and it opens the door for people actually engaging and creating content. Now, I go over this in my book, Power Branding Secrets, which just was released about a month ago. And as you can see in my title below my name, Power Branding Secrets is the website. So now I want to go over how to use this as a tool, and I was hoping that Trenton was going to, and here he is on the phone. Hold on. Trenton, I'm currently on Google Hangouts right now. Yeah, you need to join in. Okay, so you can't. Okay, so I'll keep talking. Let me see how I can get you to join. You're going to have to join the Hangout. Okay. So I apologize for that. Um, Again, I underestimated how much training there was going to be done. But this is good because he's now learning the process, and I'm learning the process better. And this is what you go through as a startup, as a new brand. You are educating yourself on how to do it. And a lot of people that I work with are afraid to do any content creation until they get it totally right. And what ends up happening is they end up creating no content whatsoever. If you take a look at the people that are New York Times bestselling authors, and you look at the people that are successful in content creation, and you go back a few years at the videos that they were making, you will see that they were doing it on an iPhone in their living room, but it never stopped them from creating content. And so as they created more and more content, and as they got better and better, and they had more money and they started to figure it out, they got better equipment, but they never stopped creating content. And so one of the inspirations for me is a guy named Grant Cardone, who, if you go back 4 or 5 years, it is Grant Cardone in his living room with a $200 flip phone. And now he's got a full-on studio and sound system and, just very expensive equipment. But he never stopped creating content the entire time. So now the trick is that, hold on, let me just, I got a Q&A, the feature is disabled. Hold on, let me just see if I can enable this feature. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so he is on the, Trenton is now online. And Trenton, now that you can watch me, how about this? I don't see your picture in here, but if you want, how about this? How about you ask me the questions through text, and I will try to answer your questions best. For some reason, my Q&A section, wait, there you go. I think I just opened it up. So now I'm open to questions and comments from any of the viewers, and you can go ahead and ask me questions and comments. And hopefully you look right there at your lower right, and you will see it right there. So, okay, so back to the point here. I could sit there and worry about the quality of the content that I'm creating, or I could just go ahead and create content and create better content and better content and better content. Most of the videos that I have done up to this point, other than Google Plus, has been fancy equipment with my videographer, Blake. And if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see that my videos are either very stylized, and we scripted it out, and professional lighting and professional equipment, and we thought it out, and it's been edited. And I definitely am going to create more and more of those videos. Those are professional quality videos. And then I did a series of videos at a talk that I did on an iPhone and a little lavalier, kind of like the one I have in my ears. And guess what happened? We cut it up into little videos. We took an hour's worth of talk, cut it into 10-minute videos by subject matter, loaded those 10-minute videos onto YouTube. And one of those videos has been watched over, I think, if I'm correct, it's been watched over 800 times. Now, I've had 800 people watch a 10-minute video on YouTube, and I didn't do anything special to that video. I didn't put any specific branding on it. I didn't, push it out on email. I maybe shared it a couple times on social media, but I got 800 views. The majority of that was from organic traffic. And the reason I did that is I did that purposely to not create high quality content for this reason. A lot of people would come to me and they go, well, you know about marketing and you've got the fancy equipment and you know all these people. That's why I can't create content. And when I was talking to these consultants of this group, I purposely dumbed it down, if you will, by using an iPhone 5 and a $20 lavalier, like the one I have in my ears, and we pinned it on my lapel. And we shot the entire event with that equipment with the purpose to show them that your level of knowledge or your level of equipment was not the barrier to creating content. And so I took that iPhone video, and not only did I cut it up, but I took the entire video and I sent it out to all the participants of that talk, which was about 20 people. It was a consulting group, that an association of consultants, and I sent it out to them to prove to them that they just need to start creating content, and as they get better, they will get better, and their videos will get better, and so on and so forth. Well, recently, I went back to Google Hangouts for this specific reason, to teach people that have no knowledge of video marketing, no knowledge of how to, do this and do that with content and SEO and all these things that get a lot of people confused. And I wanted to bring a simple format like this to say, you know what, you as a startup have the access to a platform called Google Hangouts to create content that you can send out to your email list, to your social media people, and start engaging them. Now, I'm doing this video on an inexpensive laptop, a few $100s, purposely did it that way. I'm using I was hoping that I was going to, install my Logitech camera, which I paid $70 for, but now I'm using the camera on the laptop. I don't have fancy audio equipment, which I will be upgrading to shortly for the purpose of Google Hangouts. And guess what? I will have created some content. And I will show other startups that they can do the same thing. So the first takeaway is you have the tools and the platforms right now to begin creating content and creating good content on this platform. Doesn't have to be fantastic content, just good content on this platform is going to put you it's going to put you ahead 95% of your competitors. Now, I was watching a video of a real estate agent who did not know any marketing technology, who started doing Google Hangouts every 2 weeks. So here's the second point. Number one, you have the platform. Number two, what do we create in the content? What is the subject matter? So this real estate agent gravitated to Google Hangouts, and he found what are the top 20 questions that people had about real estate? What were the top 10 questions that people had about buying real estate? And so he spent the next 20 episodes, one every 2 weeks, answering those questions. And he would have various books with him and diagrams and resources, and refer to various URLs or websites or books. And he would basically answer these common questions. So once he was done with this half hour of answering these common questions, it loaded to YouTube. And then he sent it out to his email list. And he would tweet it, and he'd put it on his Facebook page. That's as fancy as it got, right? Just answered questions. Well, within a few months, what was happening is that he started to get inbound leads because he was positioning himself as a thought leader. Okay, so now that right there is the most important thing that you need to do as a brand, because the fallacy that I go over in my book, Power Branding Secrets, is that branding is a logo, a tagline, a neat website. And I know plenty of people with a neat logo and a tagline and a beautiful website who are not generating enough leads. Okay, so I got my question here. Okay, so the first question is how to create cash out of a conversation using social media. Okay, so anyways, back to my point. The brand is much more than just the logo, the tagline, and the website. The brand is also how you engage with people, and social media is simply a channel to reach people. One of the things that mystifies people about social media is, okay, they have all these followers. Now what do I do? Well, you have to differentiate. The communication channel is different than the communication you send on the channel. So without any valuable communication or information, whether it's a video, a book, an ebook, an infographic, a podcast, you've got this connection with somebody, but there's no exchange of communication. So the first thing that I tell people with social media is we're going to have to put something on the communication channel so that there's a value in being connected with you. Otherwise, it's like, why follow you if you're not going to say something important? If you're not going to add value to their life, why would they look at your tweets? Why would they look at your posts? You have to offer something, particularly a how-to, or you've solved a challenge, or you've given some valuable insight. You get the idea? And you are now providing actual value to the person that's connected at the other end of the communication channel. So a lot of times people will come to me and they go, yeah, I get these invitations on LinkedIn and I accept it, but then what do I do? Right? I get somebody tweeting, retweeting. Well, do I get excited? I'm like, look, social media is just like an individual relationship. We only really want to communicate with people that offer us some type of value, whether it's entertainment or information or whatever it may be. We've got to provide value. And really, isn't that why we connect with a brand? We connect with a brand because something they're going to provide us. And a brand can't just provide a product, it's got to provide value. So here's how I would use social media with my brand. A, I would continue to grow my followers. B, I would create content like a Google Hangout or a blog post or a podcast, or I would curate content from other people that created it, and I'd be sharing content all the time. And number 3, one of the things that I would be definitely stressing is drive your social media followers to either a website that captures their email address, meaning you're going to have some, join my email club or download this free ebook, or to a landing page, which is like a single page website that also asks them to join your group or download your free podcast or download your free ebook or to receive a free report, what's normally called a freemium. And in exchange, they give you their email address. And why is that? Email is the most important identity that you could be gathering from your audience. So as you're building your audience, what you want to do is you want to get their email, because a recent report showed that about 5% of your Facebook posts organically, unless you're paying for it, are showing up to your audience, or 5% of the people are seeing it. Twitter's about 5%, LinkedIn's about 20%. So you think you have 10,000 followers, but about 500 people are actually receiving your content. Can you imagine if you had 10,000 emails of all your social media followers? Because when you own that, as long as it's a good email address and you're not sending spammy stuff, that email will arrive to every single person. And that's where the real nurturing and the real marketing begins. Really, what your website should be is something that offers a high value that then asks for their email, such as, welcome to my website. I want to do this for you. I can service you this way. Go over here to the left. I want you to give me your email, download, or just say download my free report, or download my free e-course, or download my first 3 chapters of my book, or join my club, become a VIP member, and I'm going to send you this awesome content every week that no one else gets except my email list. And so what happens, that gives you the opportunity to really begin the conversation. Now, I know this to be true because I've now collected, I've got 30,000 followers on social media, and I've got about 3,500 email addresses that I've been slowly importing from my social media to my website to capture. And if you look at my Power Branding Secrets at the bottom, it says join my, my Power Branding Revolution, and they enter their email. Every time I network and I grab cards, I add them to my email address. Every time I'm discussing with somebody on social media where I go, hey, do you mind if I get your email address and send you some information? Why? Because that email address is absolute gold. Now that I have their email address, I'm getting some more questions here. As I'm from people that text me. So you get this. So I establish social media. I'm growing my followers. I'm sending out great content, helpful information that I know my users want. I'm asking them to visit my website or my landing page, and I'm offering something really of high value to get their email. And now every week I send incredible information about the trends or observations, right? And maybe at the bottom of that email, by the way, I do this and this and this. I know it works. 2 weeks ago, I sent out an email saying, hey, I know a lot of businesses out there want to learn how to generate better leads. I know that a lot of you are trying to figure out how to generate leads cost effectively. And I know you're trying to do video marketing. I've recently written 2 blog posts. Click here and learn how to cost effectively generate more leads. Well, I sent that content out because I know that my audience, they're not interested in more followers. They're not interested in more clicks. They want more customers. They want more leads that lead to more customers. They're tired of hearing about SEO. They're tired of hearing about, I'm going to get you the page of top page of Google. They're just, they want customers. So knowing the needs and the emotional buttons of my audience, I sent them some information about that. Within 1 week of that email, I had 7 inbound leads for my services. 2 of them I've already closed, and 2 more I've already put proposals out and I'm waiting to close. Now, imagine if I didn't have their email address. Imagine if I had not been nurturing them with information. These weren't people that just joined my email last week. These are people that have been on my email list for over a year. And every one of them told me this. Ed, every week I get your email. Sometimes I look at it. Sometimes I don't look at your emails. But one of the things I know about your emails is you're always going to send something of value. Now, I may not consume it, but what's great is the fact is that you're consistently messaging me with helpful information. So what has that done for my brand? It's established me as a thought leader. It's established me as someone to trust. And they know that if they don't read this week's email, I'll be there next week with even more information to help grow their brand, to help them attract more customers. And sometimes it's not even my content that I email them. Sometimes I find a quote from Forbes or Wall Street Journal or, whatever, some authoritative citation site. And I just say, hey, guess what? I found this great article, this great information from the Wall Street Journal about the future of marketing. I wanted to pass it on to you. By the way, the things that they talk about in this article, well, guess what? I deliver those types of services. Enjoy the article and let me know if you ever need help. I'm not trying to shove my stuff down their throat. I'm not trying to tell them I'm all that in a bag of chips. I'm trying to bring them genuinely. My purpose is to genuinely bring them value. Of course they know I'm trying to do business with them. They already know that. But if I put way more value in that email, for them, not me, but for them, they'll continue to stay opted in my email list. Now, if I get salesy and I'm trying to crush sell them into things they don't need, of course they're going to opt out. So my priority is growing my social media list, but to migrate those followers to my website and entice them with something of high value, not something cheap, to join my email list. And then week after week, I'm going to nurture them. So let's take a typical startup. They don't have an email database, but in actual fact, you do have an email database. You see this thing? It's called your phone. You start with your friends and family, and you build that email database. I got some more questions coming in here. Okay, so how do you turn your personal network into your customer network? Well, here's this. Start with everybody that you know on your phone. Grab every business card that you have, and start sending them information, whether they're a customer or not, because they may read your article. And guess what? We now tap into this thing called word of mouth. Word of mouth is now word of mouse. They get your content and they go, I don't need this, but my brother owns a business. You see? Or I don't need this, but my boss needs to see this. And they forward your email to someone else, right? Because people love, at least the majority of people love helping other people. So if they come across great content that may not fit them, but fit somebody else, they will share it. That's why so many people, that's why all these social networks have share buttons and retweet buttons, because people like to share. Okay, so, but how can they share your brand if you're not giving them something that's shareable, right? It's just, I know it's kind of idiotic, and maybe I'm not trying to talk down to anybody, but if you want people to share your brand, you've got to place something in their hands or in their inbox, something that is shareable, something that is valuable, something that somebody is going, wow, other people need to know this. Other people need to see this. So, for instance, if I do an article on lead generation and I email that out, somebody may go, well, I don't own a business. I don't need, I work for somebody else, but my sister owns a business, or my nephew in New Jersey owns a business, or I was talking to this guy at the coffee shop and he keeps telling me about how he doesn't have enough business. You know what? Next time I see him, I'm going to tell him about Edwin Dearborn. And believe it or not, I have had that happen more often than not. And it's funny, as I'm meeting people in life that are on my email address, they'll make the comment, hey, Ed, I know I don't respond to you, but I get your emails and I really love the content that you send. See, my content reaffirms my brand. My content reestablishes and continues to establish the authority and relativity of me to their life, whether it's for them directly or other people that they know. And that's what you want to become as a brand. You don't want to be known as a brand with the guy with a great logo. That's not why people are buying a brand. They're not buying a tagline. Yes, these are important packaging, colors. You don't want an ugly brand, right? You don't want a badly designed brand. You want a nice website. But that's the foundation. But okay, what do we do then? Well, you now have to offer value. Okay, so next question I have is reviews. The most powerful content that any brand can create from themselves is third-party or consumer-generated content. And what do I mean by consumer-generated content? It's what other people say about you. That means like online reviews, press coverage, guest bloggers writing about you, right? The easiest user-generated content to create is people stating that you are the good guy, that you are the effective brand. You'll see this on Yelp reviews, Google reviews, people that causatively get their customers and clients to talk about them, generate higher rankings within Yelp's search engine, within Google's search engine. So now what about the new brand? What about the new startup that hasn't delivered anything yet? The thing is, you have people that you've worked with in the past. You have friends and family that can vouch for you. So you set up your Yelp page, you set up your Google My Business page, and you ask your friends and family or people that you worked with at your last job, or maybe your high school teacher, or maybe your best friend, it doesn't matter. And maybe they can't, they're not going to be able to say, I bought his service and it worked out well, but they can say, I've known Edwin for years. And when we worked together, I'm going to tell you, he was a go-to guy. He was industrious, he was competent, and he always made his effort, right? What we want is we want other people to say good things about you. Then as you get more results, you then turn those into case studies, online reviews, etc. And it's an ongoing process. Branding is not a one-stop shop and you're done. Branding is an ongoing activity, which I clearly cover in my book, Power Branding Secrets, which I highly recommend. You can get the book for $3.99, and it's cheaper than a Happy Meal, and it'll make you happier. Okay, so these are all things that I have followed for myself, and I purposely did this Google Hangout to show you that it doesn't take an expensive platform now, or high-tech equipment to get this done. Now, let me give you an example of another way that you could use Google Hangouts now that we're talking about reviews. Let's say you just helped somebody and it was successful. You could go on Google Hangouts and interview them, or you can also take your iPhone, which I've done many times, and I have videoed people that have had good things to say about me. And then I grab those reviews and I put them on my website, or I put them in my blog, or I put them on Yelp, etc., or I send them out of my email, right? You got to prove the point that you really are the go-to guy. So I could go into a lot of details I could go into 8,000 directions, and I'm about to, and I don't want to bore everybody because I try to keep these things to a half an hour. But I guarantee you this, content is easier to create at this point than at any place before. And I personally believe, my personal belief is that the place that a new brand, a new startup should be is Google Hangouts. Google's not paying me to say this. I'm just telling you, it's video. It gets optimized. It can be optimized on YouTube automatically. It can be transcribed into a blog post. And it allows you to have some content to now share on your email database and to your social media connections. Without content, without valuable information being created, there's no reason to connect to other people. It's just like, it's going to be you and your customer staring at each other. And guess what's going to happen after a few seconds or a few minutes or a few months? They're going to opt out. They're going to unfollow because staring at you ain't fun. But if you're communicating things that are real to them, if you're communicating things that they need, if you're communicating things that solve their problems, if you're showing them how to do things better, they will keep the relationship with you, but more importantly, they will share your content to their contacts. This book right here, I know I'm plugging my book, but I'm telling you, I've had many people read my book, and they've said, A, it's an easy read, and B, this one guy that I went out to somebody that I'm co-branding with, and they finished my book, and they said, you know what, Ed, you know what I really like about your book is you not only go over what can be done with branding, but at the end of your book, you actually lay out a step-by-step program of how to go about it. And he goes, most books don't do that. Most books just kind of leave you hanging at the end going, okay, what do I do now? Where you actually give the reader a project and actual tactical steps to carry out to start moving their brand forward. I wrote that in my book with the purpose because I knew that my audience was new to branding or was confused about branding and literally needed the step-by-step, help in doing that. So if there's not any more questions from Trenton, I think I'm going to end off here. But hopefully you guys have gotten. He doesn't see a Q&A view, and I apologize for that. So hey, I'm learning this Google Hangout, and I'm going to get better. I'm already buying better equipment. I haven't figured out all the options, but you know what? I'm not letting that stop me. I could have sat there and go, no, I got to have all the right equipment. I got to know everything about Google Hangouts before I ever do one, because I don't want to look like an idiot on Google Hangouts. You know what? I'm learning like you are. And I'm not, although I know a lot about marketing and I know a lot about branding, I don't necessarily know every single detail about every single platform. Look, it's moving fast. This world is moving fast. Technology is moving fast. I mean, I have to study an hour a day just to stay 2 steps behind. So, but you know what? I'm not letting that hold me back, and neither should you. I'd rather have you fail fast by doing it than failing by not doing it, right? And you there's a old Chinese saying, you learn by doing. And I truly believe that for you to create content, you're going to have to just jump in with all fours and learn by doing. And then guess what? I will, after this Google Hangout, I'll review it. I'll look at how I could have done it better. I'll learn a little bit more about Google+. I'll get my camera working. I'll get my new microphone. And within 3 or 4 Google Hangouts, guess what? It's going to look really hot. I'm going to be much better at it. And, there you go. But I think you should just start gravitating towards Google Plus and optimizing the video. In future emails, if you want to get on my email list, just email me at edwindearborn@me.com. I promise not to send you, I won't sell your names. I'm not going to send you weird stuff. I'm only going to send you my best content. And in the future, I'm going to be sharing how to optimize your Google Hangout video. So there's creating the video. That's step number 1. Then number 2 is we optimize your Google Hangout video for search within YouTube and Google. And then number 3, how do we distribute that? Okay, so I'm going to be growing with you guys and sharing with you how to get better at it. I'm going to get better at it. How about we get better at it together? And, you start doing what you can do. I'm committed to my community. And I know that sounds cliche, but that's why I wrote my book. Believe me, I did not make my money back, the money that I put into writing this book. The time and the effort, it was a labor of love. And I did it because my parents were entrepreneurs. They started their own business. And in the 90s, they lost their home. They took a mortgage out to start a business to feed my brother and I. And, the recession hit and the business didn't quite go well. And, we were kind of new at it. I was a teenager. And my parents lost their home. And I saw my parents go through economic hardships that I would wish on nobody. And so to me, this is kind of my coming back full circle and really developing training programs and materials so that people don't have to struggle in business. And that is a purpose that resides deep within my soul, deep within my heart. And nothing makes me more happier to see a brand and a small business person succeed because of something that I was able to share with them or something that I was able to educate them on. So I want to thank you so much for hanging on this Google Hangout. It went about 11 minutes longer than I scheduled it. So if you're still with me, thank you so much. Thank you for tolerating, some of my inabilities with the Google Plus or the Google Hangouts performance and being able to ask questions. I promise I will get better at it. And we'll just become better at it together. So again, you can email me at edwindearborn@me.com. I'd love to add you to my email list. You can follow me on Twitter, Edwin Dearborn, @Edwin Dearborn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, I'm pretty much there, and I'm posting content all the time. And if you personally need my services, reach out to me. And if you don't reach out to me. But I hope you've had a great time here. I'm going to be signing out. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you shortly. Bye-bye.